Today we are going to talk about what happened to Airbnb founders. After Airbnb's 2020 IPO near the end of the year, the founders of Airbnb became very rich. All three of them have been actively giving interviews to the public, telling everyone about how they created Airbnb, one of the most revolutionary companies in the world. So far, only one out of Airbnb's three founders have left the company. The rest have stayed on. Brian Chesky is one of Airbnb's founders and is currently the CEO of Airbnb. He's gone from being broke, buying an air mattress and renting it out to raise money for rent, to being worth over $8 billion. Aside from running the company, Brian recently gave a very funny talk at Stanford University to inspire the MBA students there. The Airbnb CEO even did a PR stunt last year where he put up an Airbnb listing for a spare room that's been completely booked until October 2024. That's what happens when you offer to rent out your spare room for $0, promise your guests free cookies, and agree to be their personal gym buddy during their stay. Too many people want to live with Airbnb CEO. So while you'll never get to live next to Brian Chesky, you can at least enjoy photos of his immaculately designed home and think to yourself, so this is what Brian Chesky believes looks good in a home.
Well, I'm taking photos of this house because I'm going to put it on Airbnb. I live here, so I'll be here. But I'm going to put this room on Airbnb. I did it 15 years ago, I'm going to do it again.
Along with his PR stunt, he launched a mentoring program where new Airbnb hosts can get advice from older, more experienced superhosts.
Airbnb Setup, the all-new, super easy way to Airbnb your home. Airbnb Setup matches you with your very own superhost. Hey Jennifer, I'm Brian.
Hi Brian, it's nice to meet you.
Your superhost can give you one-to-one guidance each step of the way.
Those look great.
It looks like I need to come up with a title.
So you want to pick something that makes your space unique? Yeah, I like that one.
Your superhost can give you tips on getting your home ready, all the way to welcome your first guest. Thanks Jennifer, I'll talk to you soon. And there it is. I just listed my guest room on Airbnb.
AirCover, Airbnb's insurance, got an upgrade, tripling its insurance coverage from $1 million to $3 million.
We're also giving you even more AirCover with upgrades like guest identity verification, so you can know guests are who they say they are. Next spring, every guest booking an Airbnb around the world will be verified. We're launching reservation screening technology to block bookings that might lead to unauthorized parties. And we've tripled AirCover's damage protection from $1 million to $3 million. I hope this makes it easier to put your place in Airbnb. And if you're coming to San Francisco and you need a place to stay, I'd love to host you.
He did this to convince future Airbnb hosts that it was not scary to turn your spare room into an Airbnb for strangers. Even before Airbnb IPO'd, Brian was donating generously to the public. He's joined Warren Buffett's giving pledge with his fellow co-founders and promised to give away his money by the time he dies. In 2022, he gave the Obama Foundation $100 million to launch a new scholarship program for students who wanted to work in public services.
Plant a seed, not so we can watch it grow, but for the next generation to watch it grow. And I think that's kind of what this is for us. We're going to need bridge builders who recognize we're living in a global community, but we also acknowledge what makes every single community different so as to not make them homogenous.
What travel does is it opens your mind to other possibilities. And if you want to make the world better, you have to be able to imagine what better looks like. And part of what we want to be able to do is to make sure that we are supporting the kinds of experiences that will lead people to be more connected and to create a community within the people who receive the scholarships so that they are staying in contact and working together.
The Obama Chesky Scholarship will offer students $50,000 in financial aid and $10,000 in stipends, together with free Airbnb housing if students want to get summer job experience while they're in college. While Brian is still working hard in the front lines for Airbnb's future, Joe Gebbia has chosen to leave the company. Well, kinda. Joe Gebbia has stepped down from his full-time job at Airbnb. However, Joe still sits on Airbnb's board of directors. He's taking a more advisory role role behind the scenes. Most founders in tech try to sit on multiple board of directors after leaving the company they founded. Joe is no exception. Aside from Airbnb's board, Joe Gebbia also sits on Tesla's board of directors. The ex-co-founder retains his chairman position at Airbnb's non-profit arm, Airbnb.org, which provides refugees places to stay during times of disaster or crisis. Joe currently runs a startup called Samara, which began as a research and development team at Airbnb. Since then, Joe Gebbia has spun out Samara into an independent company. Samara makes tiny homes for your backyard. Joe plans to capitalize on the popularity of ADUs, which are accessory dwelling units. It's like a tiny one-bedroom home that the startup will build in your backyard.
This summer. But over the years inside the company, I was fortunate to start an innovation team where we could think of the next big ideas. And one of those ideas was based around us hearing from hosts who wanted to be a part of Airbnb, but didn't have the space in their home, but they had room in their backyard. And while I'm hearing this feedback from hosts over the years, I myself, at one point, also looked for a beautifully designed ADU for my own personal use.
Joe himself wanted to add a small home in his backyard, but didn't like the companies which offered them, so he started his own company. For a low price of $300,000, customers of Samara can customize their house, have it built in the factory, and then delivered to them once it was done. Joe Gebbia's startup only offers its services in California, but he wants to roll it out to more states in the future.
Over time, we can bring down the cost. We've designed the unit to plug into our foundation, and connecting the dots once it's craned in takes a couple of hours.
The siding is not shiny. It does have a nice look.
Yeah. So there's a consideration to take in place, which is that this is going in somebody's backyard. And so our process led us to this place of finding a material that was not only, again, highly durable, will last a lifetime.
In 2022, while he was the graduation speaker for his old high school, Joe Gebbia gave away 22 Airbnb shares to each of the 890 graduates at Brookwood High School. That's a $2,400 payday that the attending graduates got to take home.
I would like to give you a piece of my dream to help inspire yours and let you know that it is possible. I'm giving each of you a few of my shares in Airbnb stock.
For context, that's $2 million worth of Airbnb stock that Joe gave away freely.
So when you see these shares years from now, please go invest them in your dreams. Don't spend it all on crypto.
Thank you, Brookwood, for trusting me with your PA system, and congratulations, class of 2022.
Joe Gebbia said he definitely doesn't remember the advice the speakers gave at his graduation, so he wanted a way to help the graduates remember his advice.
I definitely don't remember the advice that I was given at my graduation. And I don't expect you to either. Yeah, that hotel guy spoke. I think he went to my high school or something. So I thought of a way to help you remember.
Joe is planning to make more documentaries like his first documentary, Universe, and donate more of his money to charity in the future. According to Bloomberg, Joe Gebbia has over $7 billion from his Airbnb shares to spend and use. The world's his oyster, so you don't have to worry about Joe losing too much money. The next Airbnb founder we'll talk about also has a similar net worth. His name is Nathan Blecharczyk. Nathan is still with the company and is one of Airbnb's chief strategy officers. At one point, Nathan was the chairman of Airbnb China's operations. His job was making sure Airbnb grew its businesses in one of the most populous countries in the world.
China as a country, as a source of travelers, is growing faster than any other country in the entire world, over 5x year over year. Incredible growth. And it's really an amazing thing. There's a growing middle class. Increasingly, the first thing they want to do is experience the world. Many of them have not left the country ever before. China now represents, is number one in terms of international tourism expenditure.
The China market proved to be a challenge. The common knowledge for companies entering China was to partner up with a local company who had a majority share so they could help run operations in China. The problem with Airbnb was it was impossible to separate the platform from the business, so finding partners was a no-go. There were many domestic companies like Ctrip who already had a ton of market share. Airbnb was coming into an already mature market. Nathan had to focus on outbound China customers who were looking for accommodation overseas outside of China. And then after demand picked up, he would try converting those customers into users who would use Airbnb in China. Ultimately, it was the pandemic which broke Airbnb China. The government's zero COVID policy was restricting travelers from abroad and inside the country, so Airbnb's business in China suffered. Near the end of Airbnb's time in China, Nathan had to stop listing homes for rent in China and refocus only on China's outbound travel customers. While the business in China was slowly recovering in 2022, Nathan and Airbnb made the decision to close its domestic business in China. Nathan is still with the company, he's just working on other Airbnb projects. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one.